Hello and thanks for joining the Thursday edition of Journalist Hangout. I am Veronica Danik-Boy. Today on the program, after 25 years, federal government recognizes MKO Abiola, declares June the 12th the Democracy Day, as PDP accuses Buhari of using Abiola's name to woo voters. And later on the show, Okorocha launches a astonishing attack on APC National Chairman Chief John Odigoyegun. I will be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Utitoju and Wale Adeoye. Gentlemen, thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you so much.
Journalist Hangout starts now. Well, surprises often spring up from unexpected angles, and that is why they are termed as such in the first place. In our political climate, bedeviled by oppression and deprivation, when a politician takes a populist decision, we are taken aback. On Wednesday, President Muhammadu Buhari did what previous administrations had failed to do. He recognized the June the 12th, 1993 presidential election after 25 years of political denial. The federal government declared June the 12th as Nigeria's Democracy Day in honor of the late Bashorun MKO Abiola. President Buhari also conferred a posthumous national honor, the Grand Commander of the Federal Republic, GCFR, the highest in the land, on Abiola. The late legal icon and fiery human rights crusader Gani Fawehinmi also bagged the Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger GCON award. Outpouring of encomium has greeted the cheery news, but the People's Democratic Party is not impressed. It said the president's actions smacked of political desperation. Well, Jide, let's start with your reaction to the conferment of this honor on Abiola.
Well, I think that this is one of the best things that President Buhari has done. Sometimes a government takes action that are not necessarily in sync with the desires, with the aspirations and needs of the people. But clearly from the reactions that have come since the president made this announcement yesterday, so many Nigerians are happy with his decision. Even some of the president's greatest critics have already commended him for taking this action. Femi Fani-Kayode is one of them. He has said that this is a very good decision. And the governor of Ekiti State, my adopted state, has also come out to say that the president took a good decision. So if a few individuals are saying, oh, this decision demonstrates that the president is desperate, he wants to win people's votes, what is the ultimate desire of a politician? If it's not to win the votes of the people, if it's not to earn the goodwill, the confidence and the support of the people. The president who is approaching re-election will do whatever it takes to win. It's not going to make it easy for the opposition. So they should know that the president has done no wrong by taking this action.
All right, well, this move took a lot of prominent voices by surprise, like Jide said, and a lot of people did not expect this move from the president. Were you surprised, and did you expect it?
Well, not surprised, because I think it's a vacuum that has been waiting for at least, let's say, for about 18 years for somebody to fill. And when you look at the fact that the president spoke about General Abacha about a week earlier, and when you look at the contradiction between Abacha and then Abiola, so when I now heard about the case of Abiola, I knew that perhaps it balances a lot of, the missing gap.
How do you mean?
Yeah,
what's the missing gap?
Well, Abacha was part of the group that annulled the election.
Yes.
So, and a lot of people are not happy about what the president said, trying to praise about. So, when this one came, I mean, a lot of people felt contented that at least, if you are saying this about this person, at least you should also recognize the fact that Abiola also played a particular role, in the history of democratic struggle in this country. I think for one thing, it is very significant because for 18 years people have been waiting since since 1999 that we had a new democratic government. And the PDP was in power for 17 years and did nothing, including having a former president that was from the same state with the late Abiola. For 8 years, nothing was done to honor Abiola. So if it takes somebody from Daura to recognize the impact, the role that he played in democratic struggle, I think it's not a minus, for Nigeria. And I think for one reason or the other, it has been able to put the opposition and the ruling party at least on the same page, for a very long time. Both of them, at least a lot of people from even PDP are commending what the government has done. Even the National Assembly, in spite of the crisis between them, this appears to be a unifying decision by the president. But I think it's a good road, to justice. But we are still a bit far away from that destination, which is to deal with injustice of the past. But that healing process, I think, has started.
Really deal with the injustice.
Yeah, for instance, Kudirat Abiola was shot on the streets of Lagos. Suliat Adedeji was killed, in her bedroom. People like Tunde Oladepo, a journalist, was killed at Ibadan. We had people like Bolade Fashasi, a journalist that was killed at Ibadan, a woman. And in fact, in The Guardian, I remember 2 journalists were missing. Up till now, they could not be found. And a lot of people were killed, kidnapped, disappeared. So that healing process must start in one way or the other. So I think for recognizing the role played by Abiola in the struggle for democracy in this country and for honoring him, I think it's a good step forward.
All right, Jide, will this start the healing process, like Wale has said, especially when you look at or recollect the events that led to June 12th?
No, the events that led to June 12th, in my view, are different when compared to what happened after June 12th. It was the triumph of democracy because at that time we had 2 parties. And those 2 parties, the NRC and the SDP, were creations of President Babangida, the military president at that time. The NRC had a candidate, the presidential candidate from Kano, in northern Nigeria, and someone from the east, Sylvester Ugo, who was the central bank governor of Biafra at that time. Ojukwu, who had ceaselessly campaigned for a southern president. I remember he granted an interview to Tell magazine where he complained that a region of Nigeria that does not have a big river was producing the chief of naval staff. He was referring at that time to Murtala Nyako, because Murtala Nyako was the chief of naval staff at that time. And Ojukwu came to Kano suddenly to campaign for Bashir Tofa. So at the Central Hotel in Kano, I asked him the question. I said, you've always campaigned for a southern president. This looks like the best opportunity for us to have a southern president. Now, you are not backing that southern president. And Ojukwu said, see, I see Igbo blood on this ticket. And that Igbo blood is Christian. I do not see Igbo blood in the other ticket. Both of them are Muslim. He moved from there to Jos to campaign. He also campaigned a bit in Kano. But at the end of the day, the people did not look at the religion of Abiola, the religion of Babagana Kingibe. They decided to vote for Babagana Kingibe and Abiola won the election. Even in the polling unit located in front of Bashir Tofa's mansion in Gandu Albasa in Kano, Abiola carried the day. And that was how he won across Kano. Of course, he had Abubakar Rimi, he had Sule Lamido, and all the big politicians in Kano, Alimbu Makoda, all of them behind him. So he was able to win the election. Nobody was talking about tribe, ethnicity. We all thought that this was significant for our country. Back then, during the Gawan era, Gawan and his number 2 were Christians. Akintunde Way was Christian. In the past, we never killed ourselves over religion. So the June 12th was a watershed. It was extremely significant politically for us as a nation, because we thought, even by the nature of the conduct of that election, option A4, which was first tried, just before the June 12th election, which saw the defeat of former head of state, Yakubu Gowon, in Wusasa in Zaria. He contested and was defeated. Because option A4 is very transparent. Yeah. You line up, everyone will see the actual winner. Yeah. So we all thought that, look, democracy had come to stay, and that the manner of the emergence of Abiola and Kingibe was good for our nation, a nation in which we will see all ourselves as one. But some people felt, look, this should not happen, and they decided to apply pressure on the president. There are many things that Nigerians do not know about June 12th. Mohammed Babangida, son of Ibrahim Babangida, granted an interview in the mid-90s where he said his dad was surrounded by army officers who said, look, the only thing the North has is power. If you let the North lose power, we will lose everything. And then Babangida yielded to their demand, and that was why June 12th was cancelled. So it's unfortunate that June 12th was cancelled. And after that, the government that took over, we had ING that Obasanjo demanded for, because he thought he would be made to head the ING. But it was actually Shonekon that headed the ING. But Shonekon was kicked out of power by Abacha, who was the only senior military officer that IBB left behind. He was the defense minister. He clearly wanted power, because on a visit to Kano, I had Babangida calling him Khalifa. Khalifa means successor. So he clearly wanted power. So immediately Babangida left, he was already thinking he should take his place. And then Shonekon was kicked out of the place. Now, the Nigerians felt that he was an impostor, and they began to oppose his emergence as another military ruler. And he ruthlessly dealt with people. Journalists were murdered. People like Bagada Kalto, who was my colleague in the North, was murdered. People were put into jail for phantom coups and the rest of them. So the healing process has to start. I've heard people say, and
will this kickstart that?
It has to. If people, those who advise the president, must advise him that on June 12th, when he intends to officially proclaim Abiola, confer honor on Abiola, there are Nigerians who should similarly be honored. People who paid with their lives. The democracy we enjoy today, a lot of the people who are benefiting from it played no part in the emergence of this democracy. The true heroes of our democracy, Ezeuche Obane, all of them, they have to be honored. Pro-democracy activists who lost their lives, journalists who lost their lives, politicians who were murdered because of the opposition to the Abacha regime, bestial regime, they must be honored by the government. That is when Nigerians will see that, yes, this is a clean break, and President Buhari is a new broom.
All right, Wale, you might want to relieve some of what you remember of June the 12th.
Yeah, I think he has put it very clearly that it was a watershed in the history of Nigeria, that people from all, irrespective of religion or ethnicity, came together to support a particular candidate. And like he has said, I remember that on July 7, 1993, about more than 30 people I was part of that demonstration in Lagos here. Were killed, were gone down, you know, because some soldiers are coming from the airport and they wanted to shoot their way to the Dodan barracks. People were killed on the street. So a lot of people...
It was the then military president, they suggested to him that I should take another route because of the demonstration. So Abacha said, if I'm the commander-in-chief, it is that road that you should take me through. So, and you can't take him through that route without killing people.
And
so
people
that was
were
what
on
happened.
the street demonstrating and all that, and then they were just killed like fowl. So, like I said, I think we need to take the process. I mean, we need to take the the mantle, ahead. We need to take it, move it forward. That apart from honoring Abiola, there are other people, ordinary people that lost their lives in the struggle to make this country better place.
Dr. Beko.
And we must recognize the role that they play at one time or the other.
All right, now, any chance, okay, now how can the younger people connect to this as we intend to celebrate this on a yearly basis?
I think that first and foremost, our attitude to history in our country has to change. When you talk about Nigeria, so many of our people do not know enough about our country and its people. When the attempt to honor Abiola was resisted at the University of Lagos, I was not surprised because a lot of the students in the school at that time were not alive when Abiola won that election and eventually got killed. The heroic deeds of Abiola, the philanthropic deeds of Abiola that made him extremely popular across the African continent. These children did not know. So when you came up with the idea of honoring him, it was empty gas to them. They just felt, what are these people talking about? And and then for even some of the students, many of the old students, they really felt nostalgic about the name of their school, and they felt, no, if you must honor this man, give him something else and all that. So I believe that if a lot of those students actually were privy to what Abiola was doing, because Abiola was also regularly donating money to Nigerian institutions of higher learning, and he was also helping indigent students. So they know very little about his history. Go on the internet, there's precious little about Nigeria. Some of the most dramatic events of our national history are not even documented. And some of the people who know so much about our country have chosen not to write books. Look at Gawan, for example, who led Nigeria through civil war. Gawan, all these years, despite studying abroad and all that, has chosen not to write a book. So we are condemned to reading books written by Obasanjo and other people, where in most cases they will claim to have done 80% of a job in which they probably did 30%. So we are condemned to reading accounts that are really not true about our country. So if the young people need to show greater interest in the history of their country, because it will help them. Today, we are a much more divided nation, which is antithetical to the spirit of June 12. It is my wish, because before I left northern Nigeria, I saw clearly that whenever you mention June 12, many people saw you as a tribalist. Effectively, the Abacha regime succeeded in dividing Nigeria along the lines of June 12. Even NANS, they broke NANS, National Association of Nigerian Students, into two. Dennis Young, who was the authentic president, they got someone else, Kachala, to be a factional president of NANS. And that was the same way they also divided Nopeng. So the irony is, a watershed, an election that was supposed to unite us, the aftermath of it make us a much more fractured nation. And the seeds of the division in Nigeria today were actually laid in the Abacha years.
All right, that brings me to my next question, Walid.
Yeah.
This division that we've seen, and now the June 12 being brought to the fore again, a yearly celebration, how will this enhance our nationhood, our sense of togetherness?
Well, it's one of the steps that could unite the country. But then the forces that are responsible for division, or the factors that are responsible for division, goes beyond mere official statements, to honoring, our late heroes. We need also to take certain practical steps, because the divisions just did not start even with June 12. Don't also forget that we had a civil war, that lasted for 30 years. And then there have been series of military coups, since 1966 that dotted the Nigerian political landscape. So June 12 was just one of those incidents that happened in this part of our country.
All right,
so
if you could just hold the thoughts. We have Linus on the line. Go ahead with your contribution, Linus.
Hello?
Hello, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Good.
I want to make a contribution to what you are discussing.
All right, go ahead.
Are you hearing me?
Go ahead.
Okay. And although the agreement of the president that they have approved the June 12th as a date that will be celebrated now is good. I quite agree, but I consider it as a great gift. It's a great gift to the Yoruba people. They should not be deceived by this big gift. If they know this man that they call Buhari very well, he has just sold a dog to them. If he comes back in a second term, what he's going to do to these Yoruba people is worse than what he did to them in 1984.
All right, Linus, thank you for your contribution. We need to quickly take this break and return to talk more on this topic. Stay with us. All right, you're still watching the Thursday edition of Journalist Hangout, and we're still looking at the federal government's recognition of June the 12th as the New Democracy Day. And before we went on the break, you were sharing your thoughts with us. You might just want to end that point.
So I'm saying that it's a good step that can unite the country, but we need to go beyond mere official proclamation.
Yes.
When we are talking about peace, it's not just peace as an abstract term. It has to be quantified, and we are talking about justice. A lot of things have happened in this country that people are yet, to feel that there's a kind of sense of justice. Like even when you take the June 12, for instance, a lot of things were tied to June 12. We had a newspaper, one of the best newspapers in this country, Concord newspapers. At the time, Weekend Concord, Sunday Concord was selling about 400,000 copies. We had Community Concord that you can get almost every part of the country. They all collapsed. Abiola Library, Concord Airlines, and all sorts of things, business empire, that people, families were dependent, children, a lot of people were dependent on these business empires, and many of them had to lose their means of livelihood. So those problems are there. And when you are giving this honor to Abiola, what about the injustice that have been perpetrated against individuals, his wife, and so many people that lost their lives, so many people that... I remember the case of one Professor Agboluage. He came all the way from abroad. At the airport, he was picked. Up to today, nobody can trace him. Just because of the Jewish story, they said he was a member of Egbe Omo Odua, and he was arrested right at the airport there. I was detained at DMI, and I saw so many people that were there. I remember one Cornelius. His offense was that he attended a party organized by the American Embassy. I met him there. I don't know what has happened to him up to today. So there have been so many cases of violations of human rights. You remember the Okoba incidents, where 8 people from one family during the military era were killed. You know, the day they fought that case for a very long time, the day they got the check, you know, when they were asked to be compensated, armed robbers attacked them and took that check away from them. So this country, people have suffered so many cases of injustice. So when you are talking about peace, it must be backed by justice. So it's a very good step forward. But then there are so many things that we still want to know, you know, about ensuring that there's justice for those whose rights have been violated in the past.
All right, Jide, the PDP is saying it's sheer opportunism by Buhari. What do they mean, and do you agree to the statement?
Politics is an emotional sport, and when you don't take your chance at the most auspicious time, you are bound to regret. Buhari saw an opportunity. I said something here during our special edition on May 29. I said, this government knows how to use power. I didn't have to elaborate, but I knew what I was talking about. So Buhari knows how to use power. The PDP saw the opportunity to honor Abiola, and they refused to do it. What many Nigerians expected Jonathan to have done was to name the national stadium after him. But of course, knowing Jonathan for always pandering to the desires of enemies of the Nigerian state, he chose not to honor Abiola after the attempt to honor him through Unilag was turned down. So you can't now blame someone who saw an opportunity to do that and what you refused to do in 16 years. He thought it was wise to do it, and he did it. Obasanjo, for example, had no reason in the world not to honor Abiola. They were from the same town. But he refused to honor Abiola. In fact, to mention Abiola in a sentence was extremely difficult for him.
If you could just hold the thought, we have Obi calling from Enugu. Go ahead with your contribution, Obi.
Hello.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Good evening, all.
Good evening.
I thank all of you there. I'm a regular listener of this journalist Hangout.
Thank you.
I want just to make my own little contribution as regards the issue at stake. One is not only a question of immortalizing Abiola, it should be done in reality. If I may suggest, before June 12th, let them rename the National University called the University of Abuja, Abiola University. That is one. Then you don't make mention of, we being condemned to read the history of, it's unfortunate that our so-called elites and leaders that took active part between 1966 and 1970, when the war ended, cannot be brave enough to come out with the realities of what happened within this inter-year period. They should come out and let us. The moment we start suppressing history, we are not helping this nation. Remember whatever Major Ajuna did. He was the first African to win gold, at Commonwealth Games at Canada. That is one. Then lastly, I think if we are immortalizing these people that took active role in that 1993 election, we should not try to forget Professor Humphrey Nwosu, their neck boss.
All right, Toby, thank you for your contribution. Chidi.
Yes, so Buhari has done the right thing. Many Nigerians don't know that one of the most imprisoned, one of the most detained Nigerians of all time was Gani Fawehinmi. Yet, the Buhari administration never detained him for 1 minute. Throughout the time that Buhari was head of state, he never detained Gani for 1 minute. So I'm happy that he has now deemed it fit to honor the memory of Gani, So it's just the PDP who are complaining, they are just bitter about the fact that this was an opportunity that got away. Someone else saw the opportunity and he has taken it. Next time, they should grab the opportunities with both hands. You know, they should not let opportunities slip through their fingers. And if they allow an opportunity to slip through their fingers, they shouldn't be looking for who to blame. Of course, they are saying, oh, he did it because of election. For what reason would he have done it? Buhari saw an opportunity. The election is coming. He wants to win the Southwest because there is 14 million votes to play for in the Southwest. He sees this as a big opportunity because in the North, the candidates, the two major parties will present candidates from northern Nigeria. So the possibility of his votes being, of some of his votes being taken away by a popular candidate from a rival party is there. So he's done what they do in America, focusing on the swing states. The Southwest states look like swing states right now. And there are so many votes to play with in that area. Lagos has 6 million votes, potential votes, which is the highest in the country. So who is that politician, who is that tactical politician who will see that opportunity and will not want to grab it? In fact, what I can tell them, so that they get even angrier, is that there will be other steps taken by a government that is in power and is not afraid to use the power that it has to its benefit. That's the nature of politics. We can't be sermonizing here as if we are Puritans or that the kind of politics that we play is from outer space. No, this is the nature of politics. If you don't take your chance, the opponent sees the chance and he takes it. Then you are lamenting. In any case, they are not even united in this lamentation because some of their members are happy. If you are a PDP member from the Southwest and you publicly condemn this action and you want to contest an election, you can be sure that you will not win. So rather than go against the grain, it's better you agree that this has been a good step that the president has taken.
Really? All right.
Well, for me, I think it is same material whether the decision was taken to score electoral victory. Economic decisions or political decisions taken by any government all over the world, there are always to improve the image of the government in power, you know, and also to give the government a kind of credibility. I was wondering, why is it that the PDP government in Ekiti State for the past 4 years did not name a monument after Abiola? He could have done that. So if President Buhari is doing it now, we don't blame him. It was an opportunity that the PDP saw for 18 years and they missed that opportunity. And we still have PDP states who are governing states now, so they could have named something after Abiola, or they could have called on President Buhari to, you know, honor Abiola. Maybe they had done that about 3 weeks ago. Then you know that, okay, you know, you can now be blaming the president. So there's nothing, we shouldn't lament about that. It was a very good decision, whether for political reasons, whether for electoral reasons. But I think the fact of the matter is that it was a good decision that a lot of people admire.
We have Osas on the line from Ogun State. Go ahead with your contribution. Osas, are you there?
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Good evening. Go ahead.
Yes, I want to thank you so much, Prosper, for what you are doing there.
Yeah.
One thing I just want to ask the panel is not one thing. If you look at during this election, we were young at that time. Now my question now is, if you look at the enthusiasm at that time when MKO was campaigning, you look at it, there was hope. There was hope in this country when it was campaigning. So it was the same strength that people used to actually voted Abiola in. Now that Buhari has come to say what to recognize that decision, what is the impact on the life of the general masses? Can it replicate that same hope?
All right, thank you for your contribution, Samuel. All right, my next question, Judy, before we quickly move on to our next topic, is do you think the June 12th can be replicated? I think it's similar to what Samuel was asking.
Yes, in terms of the hope that he was talking about, Abiola ran a very good campaign and he spent so much money and he moved around the country. He used the electronic media sufficiently. There were jingles all over the place.
Yes.
Children were singing songs.
I can still sing that song.
Yes. Abiola.
Yeah.
I tire for this country. I
Yeah.
tire,
I don't-
You
I
know,
don't know.
he captured the mood of the nation and he came out with good jingles,
Yes.
that resonated with our people. And a lot of the young people,
Connected
they
with it.
connected to his message. It's the message of reparation, the message of improvement in the lives of the people, the message of defeating poverty. In fact, the idea of defeating poverty, it was Abiola that I first heard him push it stridently. And he was very charismatic, he was very popular. Everywhere that you wanted philanthropists to contribute money, Abiola was always there. I remember in 1989, during the launching of the launching to improve the Ranchers Beach Stadium. They were looking for money. Ranchers Beach had just won the Wafu Cup, and they wanted money to expand the stadium. And Abiola came, accompanied by his wife Doyin. And if you see the way the people received him, at that time, there was no plan to contest, 89, December 89. There was no plan to contest, but the people received him warmly. And Abiola took a tray and was taking it around, and even poor people were dropping money in the tray. So to have June 12 replicated, the candidate must be the sort of candidate that will be acceptable to all sections of our country. Abiola, even as a Muslim, he was even contributing, he gave people money to build churches and all that. He was exceptional as a philanthropist. So many people liked him. Yeah. So secondly, we must begin to wage a decisive war against people who think that the best they can do to make themselves influential in our country is to begin to play on our religious sentiments. We have to banish religious sentiments as a country. I believe that it is still possible. It is still possible for us to have free and fair election, an election in which the will of the people will prevail, and for us to elect people without actually thinking about their fate. I think it's possible. It may take years. It may take a few cycles of election, but I'm hopeful that Nigeria will get there.
All right, so quickly, we need to take this break. When we return, we'll talk politics as Rochas Okorocha attacks APC's national chairman, John Odigiri. Stay with us. All right, you're still watching the Thursday edition of Journalist Hangout. Before we move on, Wale, let's quickly get your final thoughts on our previous topic.
Yeah, I think it will be very difficult, but not impossible, to get another June 12 in this country. One thing is certain, to get another Abiola will be very difficult in terms of his international networking, in terms of his financial muscle, in terms of his connectivity, with the rural people all over the country. And most importantly, his intellectual power. He was a chartered accountant. This is somebody that will read a speech without even, offhand. And when, he spoke, you will know that, Proverbs, native wisdom, indigenous knowledge.
Yes.
I think he was a superhuman being. I think for a very long time, it will be very difficult to get such a human being again.
All right, now let's move on. It is becoming a case of 1 week, one trouble for the ruling All Progressives Congress. Apologies to the Nigerian author, Professor Aneze Okoro. Typical of that 1972 classic, the APC continues to be dogged by one crisis after another. The hues and cries over conduct of the party congresses seems to be dying down, but some chieftains are still crying foul. Rather than towing the line of reconciliation, Imo State Governor Rochas Okorocha is launching a relentless attack on the national chairman, John Oyegun. Specifically, Okorocha accused Oyegun of trying to destroy the party before leaving office. He labeled him as unpatriotic and vowed to ensure his imprisonment. To what end, we ask? And those are weighty allegations, GD, against Oyegun.
Yes, Okorocha is a man who is hot at this time.
One wonders why he is so hot.
Yeah, because as a sitting governor, when you look at what transpired during the APC congresses. It's the governors who have really cheated other people. But in Okorocha's case, he's the governor, but he's the one who has been cheated. Because how can someone be governor of a state? The national headquarters of the APC sent an organizing committee to your state. Ideally, in other places where it has happened, that committee will first go and see the governor. In fact, some of the primaries were held in government houses. But in the case of Okorocha, they didn't let him even see those people. So if he cannot see them, how can his candidates buy forms?
One wonders why.
Yeah, because he championed he pushed and got other governors to support the motion to have congresses rather than tenure elongation for Oyegun. And so they just chose to punish him for that. Because he kept on, once he saw the direction in which the president was going, he made up his mind and he kept saying, no, we have to do these congresses. The congresses must happen. And they made up their minds, okay, we can do the congresses, but if you do not see the forms, you do not see the organizers of the congresses, how will you take part in the congresses? So that's exactly what they have done, and he's the only governor who has been treated like that. And he's supposed to be the chairman of the APC Governors Forum. So if someone of his stature, today in the whole of the Southeast, Okorocha is the biggest figure, whether we like it or not. We may not like his politics. We may not like the fact that he wants his in-law to succeed him. But in the whole of the Southeast, he's the biggest political figure, and he has helped that party so much. But look at the way Oyegun has paid him back. So, okay, you don't want tenure elongation for me. Okay, we see how you two will have your way. So today, they worked with elements opposed to him, opposed to the governor, and they effected the coup. The congresses were held without the governor knowing where those congresses were being held. And when the governor ran to court to have the state congress stopped, they still went ahead. So that's why he's saying that he will do his best to ensure that Oyegun is jailed for contempt of court, because on 2 occasions they disobeyed the court. So this is the reason he's very angry that the party has sided with his enemies, people that he has helped politically. He called them ingrates. He said only ingrates can claim caging the man God used to uplift them politically, because he thinks that he's done so much for those people, but today they've
turned their backs against him.
Yes.
Wale?
Well, I think the Imo State governor is not the only governor against, that is opposed to Oyegun. Yeah, I think the Imo State governor also has his own internal challenges. And even also in terms of his character as a person, I think he's a bit tactless. For instance, if you are opposed to the national chairman of the party, there are ways you can portray your grievances without standing out to show that you actually are opposed to him. And then I think he made it too early who he wanted to be his successor. And that gave room for polarization of the party in the state. It was that internal division that the national leadership exploited, to deal a deadly blow, at him. So if you look at his state now, there are so many factions, and very formidable people are also against him. So if he has been able to hold his state very well, it will be very difficult for the national leadership to exploit, and then exploit that opportunity to further put him and
Could that
push
be
him.
the reason why Oyegun responded by saying that there is a united voice against the person of Okorocha?
Yeah, though a bit over-exaggerated, because he is still the governor, and he also has his own supporters. And this is somebody who has been in power, for about 8 years, for a consecutive 8 years. And of course, he won the first election and then the second election, perhaps without some of these elements that are also, in APC. But I think it's a bit reckless. As a governor, you need to be tactical, even when you have people that you are opposed to at the national level. You must be able to define your enemies, not taking two enemies at the same time. I mean, too many enemies at the same time. He was fighting people within the party in the state, at the same time also fighting the national leadership of the party. We must also admit that the leadership of Oyegun has not provided enough inspiration for the party. There are too many bickerings within the party, and it shows that they don't have an effective internal mechanism for conflict resolution. Under his leadership for the past 3 years, the leadership, the APC has been doing in terms of its functions.
Yes.
So many, almost about 24 states that were parallel congresses, and I think a good leader should have been able to respond decisively to these challenges. And if it's not careful, he will leave a very bad legacy in that party. Yeah. It's a good thing that he's leaving the stage.
That's my next question. The legacy he's leaving behind, because
it's a legacy of division, a legacy of selfishness, a legacy of greed. It's not Okorocha alone that has big people against him. It's worse in Adamawa State. All the big shots in APC in Adamawa are against the governor. All the big shots. Former Governor Muritala Nyako, the structures of the state are firmly in his hands. Muritala Nyako is not with the governor. So many other people, Buba Marwa, Nuhu Ribadu, people who had contested even for that position before. There is no big shot, recognizable big shot that is with the governor. But the governor was the one that the national headquarters handed the electoral materials to, because the organizing secretary went straight to the governor of Adamawa State, and they took them to somewhere. In some cases, these congresses were held inside hotel rooms. They just wrote people's names, and then the APC will come and tell us that they had Congress. What kind of Congress that you do inside hotel rooms and you write people's names? The same thing in Oyo State. Oyegun was opposed to Ajimobi.
Yeah.
But Ajimobi is a smarter politician. Ajimobi, I already know today who Ajimobi wants to succeed him. But when people ask Ajimobi, who will succeed you? He will say, am I God? Why are you asking me this question? And you know the way he talks now. Why are you asking me this question? Am I God? Is it not God that knows what tomorrow will look like? But he has his eyes on someone. But in the case of Okorocha, just as he said, he had already made up his mind that Uche Nwosu will succeed him. But even if that is the case, what I oppose, what I think is immoral, is for us to say we are doing Congress and people, only a section of the people will know where the venue is. Where is that done? Where is that done? So if you cheat a governor in that way, it has to be condemned, because this sort of thing should not continue.
All right, quickly, we have Iyang on the line. Iyang, are you there?
Yes.
All right, go ahead with your contribution, please.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, the problem for APC in Imo State actually is the genesis to me is from Okorocha, because it's not, if you can go back to Niger State, where Babangida Aliyu did the same thing Rochas was doing. That was the downfall of PDP in that state. Rochas cannot wake up from a state that has more than 4 to 5 million people and say he wants to bring his son-in-law, which is automatically his son, to succeed him. And APC is not ready to gamble with such a decision, because Imo State is the only party they have right now in the southeast. They don't want to gamble with it because they know that Rochas bringing his in-law will not fly.
All right, so thank you, Uwa, for your contribution. Quickly, before we wrap up now, obviously, whoever takes over from John Odigoyegun has a lot of work to do.
Yeah, a lot of work to do.
Especially with reconciling this aggrieved parties.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Yeah, that's a fact, but I think the likely successor, which is Ochiomole, I believe, has the potential capacity, to be able to manage the internal contradictions within the APC, given his history, given his pedigree, from labor movement, former governor and all that. I think potentially, and I hope they have the Congress on time before it is too late, so that a new leadership will emerge that will give
the elections are upon us today. Something has
yes,
to be done.
Oshomole has to come in to clean the Ojin stable. Oyegun has not provided leadership at all. Has not, in fact, we've been complaining for so long that he has not provided leadership. The party has been tottering under his leadership. And now we can see everything came to a head in these sham congresses. So Oshomole has so much to do, and I hope he will get the support of other members of the party so that he can properly position the party for the 2019 challenge.
All right, gentlemen, thank you for coming on the show, and thank you for your contributions as well. But that's all on Journalist Hangout. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. Watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on other platforms showing on the screen and on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Veronica Danigboy. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.